Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back. So, I'm going to um, just talk to you guys um, about acceptance because that's been a very big topic for people um, around me the last few days. And so I thought that I would just come on here and discuss it. So there is a massive fear around acceptance of one's reality. And so in the last few days, or last few months actually, I've had a few people around me coming in to trying to convince me that in their own ways that women's expectations are delusional. And please don't get triggered, just listen and hear me out. That a woman's expectations in relationships or what they expect from a man is delusional, or they don't know what they want. And or they don't know what they want in the moment of like any situation, any, relationship of any kind. But what I've come to accept is oftentimes, even in the times that I didn't know what I wanted, I did know what I didn't want. And sometimes it's easier for people to express the things that they don't want than to express the things that they do. And accepting one's reality sometimes looks like saying, like, I don't know what this is. I'm enjoying this, but I don't want that. Or I want that, but I don't want this. And oftentimes, accepting the truth that everybody not gonna be all right with that. Some people will try to deflect. Some people will try to project. Sometimes people will attack. And I got to a place of accepting a long time ago, like years ago, that oftentimes people have this image of us in their head, what they feel like, how they think we should act, how they think we should move, how they think we should respond to them, to their love, to their affection, to everything. And oftentimes, if we don't take the lead in our life of accepting what our truth is, but also accepting the the task of being curious in someone else's truth. I had a good friend tell me that everybody is not out to hurt you, and I have noticed that, and through other and that hit like it was like a light bulb, because in some of my training I've had, they have discussed, like, they, instead of saying narcissist, they say someone that's willing to do anything to get their needs met. And and so for me it has been very enlightening to experience people in this way, because oftentimes people are so, I was about to say small-minded, but I'll say self-absorbed in their needs, in their feelings, in their wants, that they will justify, defend, attack, project, belittle you, just so, because what they feel like you need goes against what they need. And sometimes that's material, but other times that's emotions. Um, other times that's, so for example, if I set a boundary with you and I tell you like I don't want to be with you, but then you continue to push that issue, or you continue to feel like, well, I'm going to weigh them down. I'm going to continue to be all of this just so I can, instead of moving on with your life, then you're not accepting your reality. If you are, if you love somebody, but you realize that that person is not capable of loving you back, that's you needing to accept your reality. If you are in a position of like, you have done everything you could to make sure that you were independent and didn't have to rely on anybody, and you pushed everybody outside of your life, even, and you didn't choose your battles, the things that you should have probably just bent on, you wouldn't, you know what I'm saying, just to have that person in your life, and you didn't. There's a need to accept that, like, if you end up and be alone, like, this was because of your doing. Or when somebody, when, even if you had small opportunities or small options, you understand that, like, you had a door that you could have opened or walked through, but you chose not to. And that could be career, that could be anything, because you're too busy holding on to other things or other people. Like, it's very important. You know what I'm saying? Like, very, very, very important to understand that, because sometimes accepting our reality of, like, we may be the problem. Sometimes we're the problem. And sometimes it's not a huge, like, you're just hurting people left or right. No. Sometimes it's you understanding that you could have been and still not been broken. You could have spoke instead of being silent. You could have moved instead of staying in a complacency or familiar situation. The acceptance of, like, the moment that you realize that you were giving or getting information or giving or doing things that hurt, harmed, or held someone back, or you were doing this even if you weren't getting the information, but you actually were the one that was doing this. You loved yourself enough to rebuild in those places and finding balance within yourself and teaching yourself, like, how to heal these areas of your life. And even if you don't know how to heal them, using your spirit team or using other people that you feel like knows more than you, or feels or sees things in a different light, different perspective than you, to help you heal this or grow in this area. And the acceptance of, sometimes you didn't release the old person of who you were, or whatever it was that you felt like what was more important. Like, you didn't release that person. You didn't release that old you. And so you couldn't manifest the new you or the new life that you really wanted to live. See, acceptance is sometimes difficult, because sometimes it's acknowledging that the person that you had as the villain in your story is sometimes the cowardly lion. And also accepting that insight is sometimes all the clarity that you need to get you to a place of being able to be free. Sometimes we don't see what's going on because we're in the picture. Sometimes the feelings are too heavy. Our heart is too heavy. The pain is unbearable. But sometimes the very person that you feel like is coming after you is the person that's trying to save you. So confronting yourself and seeking where you can take the lead in your life and rebuild while you're finding that clarity in your beliefs. And even if your belief is that this person is the villain, trusting that you can listen to yourself in a way that embraces, and you can still share the love that you have for yourself as well as others while you move on, no matter how difficult the challenges are or the times are. It's okay to search for forgiving, or like digging inside of yourself to see what your darkest fears are. Seeing what clarity you can gain from looking at your darkest fears and seeing, like, am I reacting because of my fears? Do I have this boundary because of my fears? Am I reacting because of my fears? Or is it the situation? Or is it a combination of all, both, or none? And being able to nourish that and nourish yourself regardless of what it was. So I had a difficult day yesterday, I'm not gonna lie. And I had everything that could have went wrong did. And for me, I had to get to a place of, like, I really started to do a life review. I really did, of moments where I have allowed fear to be my result that I was waiting on. Like, I encaged my heart and I was still waiting on love. I made a decision to choose certain battles to fight, and those were ones that I should have not. But also understanding that the battles that I did fight, and understanding why I fought them and why I stood on them. Because it's like you have a dream, and if that dream doesn't look exactly how you want it to, and you don't find someone that you are willing to bend for, and it doesn't mean like a person, this could be just like a career or a opportunity. It's like knowing that you can heal those areas without seeking control. Heal those areas and still be able to manifest success in your life. And be able to truly teach sharing love. But if you need to put your heart in a cage for a minute doing that, teaching yourself how to love, what love looks like for you, and knowing that sometimes everybody ain't gonna be perfect. So sometimes that looks like you accepting somebody's flaws. Because you need to get out of your survival, and you need to open up and await results. See, acceptance looks different for everybody, every situation, and I've hit on so many different ones. And the reason why I keep going back to love is because oftentimes that is the one that people refuse to listen to their intuition. The person that's on your mind, the person that is tugging at your heart, if you had to move on because of you being in survival mode, or it was instinctual for you to move on so you can heal something, let that person know that you love them. It ain't gonna hurt nothing. Because what you fail to realize is they may love you the same and their emotions may be just as pure as yours. But the moves that you make moving forward may be what changes. Because changing the focus on where the villains are. Your sister glasses is right there. I haven't seen it. It's significant. It's seeing through someone else's, seeing through somebody else's glasses, and understanding that the prescription may not be yours, so it may be a little difficult to see that perspective, but their perspective may be perfect for them at that time, and the acceptance of that and keeping your heart open to still show unconditional love regardless of how they blossom. I want to tell you guys, thank you so much for coming out and listening. Until next time, everybody, namaste and blessings to you and yours.